welcome back to my channel, or indeed welcome if you are new to my channel. And today I'm just going to come on to do a get ready with me. I am going to be using products that I have used before on my channel, but I will be using a few that I haven't used also. So I'm going to apply the Lancôme Hypnose Mascara, and I'm also going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Lip Blur in Rose Blur, and I'm going to do the blurred effect on my lips to show you that because it is really pretty. Okay, so for my base products today, I'm going to use this palette again. I did my review on this palette. I did find like it was a little bit yellow when I applied the foundation. Since then I have made this palette work for me better, and I can actually use all the shades inside. As you can see, I've been using it. It does get quite messy. I have wiped around the edges, but it does get quite messy when you're using this, but it is a really nice product. So I'm going to start with the colour corrector. Now, sorry if I look a bit hot, it is very hot here today, so I'm looking a bit red and hot, so I apologise for that. But let's get started. Right, so I'm going to do the colour corrector first. So what I've actually been doing with this is mixing the two colour correctors. So there's like a yellow shade and like a peachy pink shade, and I'm just literally mixing the two shades together and using both of those. So just apply those, and then we'll put a little bit of this on my nose as well. Right, so just mixing the two colours together again, and then just applying that to the other side. Let's take a little bit more. Just put it on any blemishes or anything, just takes the redness down. Okay, so I can always go back to that in a little while if I need some more. Okay, then I'm just going to go over now with the concealer shade. And for the concealer shade, I'm just using this one in the palette. That's my concealer shade. Yeah, I have used this quite a few times since my review, and I do really like it now. And especially now that I can, you know, all the colours work for me, so yeah, it's great. I'm just going to stipple that on, and then stipple it on this side as well. Okay, right, now I'm going to go in with foundation. What I've found works for me is the bottom two shades mixed together, but I can also mix in this one as well, that's next to the concealer. So I can basically use these three shades mixed as my foundation shade, which is great because it just means I'm using all the shades and nothing's going to go to waste. So I just literally mix those and then apply that to the skin. But as you can see, it's not yellow anymore, so That's great, because I didn't like how yellow it was when I first used this. Obviously I made it work that day, but I didn't like how yellow it was, so this is much better. Okay, so that's that applied all over. Just took about another minute or so and just made sure that it's applied everywhere and it's all nice and blended in. I'm just going to take a little bit more of the colour corrector and just make sure that that pigmentation is covered. But this seems to do quite a good job of covering that. So that's the pinky colour corrector. And then I'll just take a little bit of the concealer, just dab that over the top. Yeah, it does quite a good job of covering any pigmentation. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is going to take a bit of the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder. I've just got my Real Techniques powder brush. I'm just going to take a bit of this. I know some people don't use powders with creams, but I do, and I don't find it affects the powders, so it works absolutely fine for me. So I'm just going to set that down a little bit. I've left my cheek area with no powder on. So I'm going to do my bronzer and blush in a second out of this palette. Okay, so for the bronzer, I'm just going to take my Clinique brush. This is their buff brush. They only do one of these buff brushes, especially good for any cream products, bronzers, blush, that sort of thing. Right, so for my bronzer, I'm going to use this same palette. In my demo, I only used the top shade. I actually mixed the two together now, and that makes the perfect sort of bronzer shade for me. So I just mix those together, and then I just apply that to my cheeks. And this brush does a lovely job of blending it in. It looks quite strong at the minute, but just give me a second and it will be fine. I'm just going to take a bit into my hairline as well, and then just taking that in circular motions to blend that in. And if you do take it down too far, you can always just use your foundation brush to fix anything. Right, so just take a little bit more and then we'll do the other side. Take it into my hairline again. And make sure that's all nice and blended. And then I just take a little bit underneath my chin there, and then just a little bit to sort of contour the face. So yeah, that looks nice and bronzy. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to apply the blush from the same palette. Okay, so I'm just going to take the same Clinique brush. I do need to get another one of these. I know I've said that in one of my other videos. But I definitely need to get another one of these brushes because I love these. And then what I do for the blush is mix the two shades together again. And just make my own sort of shade of blush. which is really nice. So then I just apply that on my cheeks. This looks really nice. It's really nice and glowy, isn't it? And then there's hardly anything on my brush, but just take that. Just sort of evens everything out, I find. Okay. So that's the blush. If you want to apply a little bit more blush, you can. So I'm just going to do a little bit more because I do like blush. Okay, so that's the blush. And then for my highlighter, I'm going to use the same palette. I'm just going to take my Charlotte Tilbury Powder and Sculpt brush. Then I'm just going to take the highlight shade, load up the brush, and apply that to the high points of my cheeks. And then I'm just going to do the other side. It's nice and natural, this highlighter. So if you're not overly keen on highlight, probably like this one because it's quite subtle. Just gives you a nice glow. Well, I would call that subtle, but I like strong highlights, so just whatever you prefer. But yes, so that's the highlight there. I'm just going to take a little bit more powder because I just need a little bit more to set that down a little bit. Just underneath the eyes and on the forehead. I'm only literally applying a little bit of powder, so still nice and glowy. Okay, yeah, so I've used that full palette. What I actually normally do for the bronzer is I use these two. I actually use the 3 shades mixed together, but today I just used those 2. But I can use all 3 of those shades mixed together to make a nice bronzer shade. Okay, so for eyes today, I am going to use this Charlotte Tilbury. This is her Hypnotising Pop Shot. This is in her limited edition shade, which is Pillow Talk Ultraviolet. I know this has been discontinued on Charlotte Tilbury's website. You can still get it on places like eBay. You have to pay a little bit more for it. Well, quite a bit more for it, to be honest. But it's such a lovely shade. I really love this shade. So I just wanted to use this today. So I'm just going to apply that with my finger. Okay, so I'm just going to take this smaller mirror and then I'm just going to apply this to my eyelids. Look how nice that is there. It's pretty, isn't it? So yeah, and then I'm just going to do the other side as well. I really love this eyeshadow though. I wish you wouldn't have discontinued it because it's so nice. And I don't think everybody managed to get hold of it, which is a shame because it is really pretty. That looks intense, but it'll be okay once I get my mascara and everything on. Okay, so I'm just making sure they're even on both eyes. which I think it's even on both eyes. I'm just going to take a bit of my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. This is her airbrush bronzer. I'm going to take one of her brushes, this is a blender brush. I'm just going to put a little bit of this into the socket. Just a little bit, not too much, just to so that looks a little bit nicer. It all blends in nicely. Yeah. So I like that. Okay, now I'm going to go on to mascara. So this is the Lancôme Hypnose mascara, and this is what the wand looks like. Let's show you the wand there. So it's a nice wand, and then I'll just apply this and show you what this one looks like on the eyelashes. It's quite lengthening. Once it's fully applied, it is quite lengthening. It does look nice on. Not sure if you can see that, so if I just look down so you can see that. That's that applied. That one, I'll do the other eye and I'll be right. That's that applied to my lashes. That is a couple of coats. But this Hypnose mascara is a nice mascara. If you like this sort of look, it's not clumpy. It just sort of lengthens the lashes. Yes, it is really nice. I'm not sure if I'd buy the full size, but I am enjoying having this smaller size to try out. Okay, next, so I'm going to go on to lips now. So yeah, I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Lip Blur in Rose Blur, and I'm going to blur that out for you today. I can't say blur any more times, can I? Okay, so what I do is I just apply a bit to the lips, like this. Just sort of do a little bit. And do the outline of the top. And then I just blur it out. So what I do then is really simple, but okay, so just apply that like that, and then I just keep going in and making sure that that's nice and blurred into the lips. And this will last once it's on. Yeah, that's that blurred onto the lips. So I like this colour combination with the purple, with the pink lips. I know some people don't like the two together, but I quite like that. So yeah. But that's the Charlotte Tilbury lip blurs, and that's them blurred out, which I think it looks really nice. Okay, so I think that's everything, and I'm just going to finish off with some of the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. just dry that off and then I'll be right back. Let that dry down for a second, and that's my finished look today. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, if you leave them below, I'll be happy to answer those for you. And if you haven't already, I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. That would really help me out. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks, bye.